A Bush cabinet member joins the public debate over his economic policy. And another Atlantic storm hits the northeast coast. This is the CBS Evening News. Connie Chung reporting. Good evening. Housing Secretary Jack Kemp took a bold step today, setting himself apart from President Bush. It has to do with the economy, and what's behind it can probably be found in election year politics. White House correspondent Randall Pinkston has the story.
It's highly unusual for members of the president's cabinet to publicly contradict him on important issues. But growing political fallout over the economy is prompting insiders like Housing Secretary Jack Kemp to put some distance between Mr. Bush's optimistic view of the recession and the economic hardship facing millions of American voters.
It is not recession. It does not fit the definition of recession.
This economy, while technically perhaps out of recession, it's limping, it's anemic, and it needs some oxygen in the body economic to create more jobs, to create more growth.
Although Kemp agrees with the president's push for a capital gains tax cut, he believes there is room for compromise with Democrats who want to help hard-pressed middle-income Americans.
What we need is a broadly based reduction in tax rates on capital, labor, the family, and the poor.
Unhappiness with the economy is playing out at the voting booth. That's the spin political analysts are giving to last week's election in Pennsylvania, where former Attorney General Dick Thornburgh lost his bid for the Senate.
This is the most unfocused White House that I've seen in a long time. And when you see a good Republican like Jack Kemp making that point, Bob, that is an indication that there's real alarm within the Republican Party about 1992.
We need a strategy. We need to get this thing going. Democrats are going to have a serious campaign, whoever their nominee is, and I think it's just you can't take anything for granted.
Kemp expressed a view that seems to be gaining supporters among Republicans and Democrats. Now is the time to try to stimulate the economy, because voters will forgive politicians for trying and failing, but won't forgive them for not trying at all. Randall Pinkston, CBS News, the White House.
An Atlantic storm is battering the northeast coast tonight, just 2 weeks after another storm hit the same region. The National Weather Service says the storm was caused by a strong low-pressure system off the South Carolina coast. James Hattori has more details.
Waves as high as 14 feet pounded the North Carolina shoreline this weekend. Flooding areas barely dry from the violent storm, which swept through the same area on Halloween. Houses in the largely summer resort towns were buffeted again. At least one was knocked down. In Norfolk, Virginia, floodwaters were reported as high as 3 feet, overwhelming storm drains. Forecasters say this weather system is especially threatening because protective sand dunes and other shoreline barriers were washed away by the Halloween storm.
The second storm, while it's not as strong, can do more damage because, number one, it's closer to the coast, and secondly, you don't have the protective works there to keep the water from flooding areas.
The storm system is expected to continue moving northward tonight. Strongest winds should blow into Cape Cod on the coast of Massachusetts overnight, moving on to Canada by midweek. Fierce winds in advance of the system are already stirring up squalls along the New Jersey shore, smashing seawalls, spilling over, and flooding roads.
This is the worst I've ever seen it over here. Yesterday, the homeowners were allowed to go down and secure their houses, but today, because of the storm, we're not allowing that.
Experts say the storm system, which weakened somewhat today, is expected to regain strength tonight, the second storm to hit early in what is forecast to be a wetter than normal season. James Hattori, CBS News, New York.
Still ahead on the CBS Evening News, the debate over a plan to open up some veterans hospitals to non-veterans. And Bill Geist tries to alleviate